Welcome back to the podcast. It is so fantastic to be here. I hope you are having a lovely walk or some alone time in the car. Some of my favorite times in the day are when I am listening to a podcast. It's just such a nice way to be by yourself and relax and take some time out away from all the craziness. I'm going to talk to you today about boundaries. We can't do anything with ourselves. We can't get fit, healthy, strong. We can't break through barriers and limiting beliefs if we don't have any boundaries. It really all starts with boundaries. And you can have all the best intentions in the world, and you can want to be fit so badly and want to stop comfort eating or drinking too much alcohol. But the fact is, if you don't have boundaries, you are going to not get, just factually nailed on, not get the results that you want. You're not going to achieve your goal if you don't have boundaries. I know this firsthand from the journey I went on myself. I've only had boundaries in the past 3 years. I also know this from coaching women for over 16 years now, particularly the past 3 years. I have really come to see that it's a boundaries problem always. When you're busy, when you're overwhelmed, when you're working so much and you want to get fit and healthy, it is most always a boundary problem. But it's kind of like hidden as other problems. We think it's other problems, and this is the thing. We spend so much time of our time solving the wrong problem and adding new problems. Like for so many of us, the reason we're not getting fit and healthy is because we actually have a boundary problem, but we don't focus on getting boundaries. We focus on just trying harder, getting up earlier, squeezing things in more, when actually we're just creating more problems when we do that. So when you're listening to this episode, I want you to have a serious think about what boundaries you have in your life, and do you need more? And in this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the different main 3 types of boundaries and some helpful tips on how you can actually start implementing and putting boundaries into your life. First off, just a quick update from me. I won a pickleball medal, a bronze medal in the Dublin Open last weekend. That's why there was no podcast on last week. I was just so busy and so destroyed that something had to give, and I thought, I'll do something I've never done, and that's take a week's break from the podcast. I have a pickleball partner, Kevin. It was on my goals and vision board for so long to win a pickleball medal, to win a bronze medal. It was so important to me because it was such a lovely, tangible thing to get, to work towards and to get, to improve at the sport, to get better at it, and to be able to beat people in competitions. And I only got the medal because I actually have boundaries. Without boundaries in my life, I wouldn't have been able to have showed up and gotten better and taken time out of my busy life to go and have a hobby. So boundaries really are the foundations of you building a fantastic life for yourself, where you're not all work and all family, that you also have other things going on that you really enjoy. And boundaries will be your best friend and help you be able to start to get out and have hobbies and different things like that. So just to give you a little bit of a backstory about myself and boundaries, I hadn't had any boundaries for as long as I can remember. And I mean, without getting too deep on it now, it's because I didn't love myself, I didn't value myself, and I put everybody else before I did. It's just what I did subconsciously and consciously. And the biggest time I noticed it was probably when we had a physical gym on the Tuam Road in Galway, Inspire Fitness, that was a very busy and successful gym, and we did team of 5, and I had no boundaries. And it's always at your busiest, most stressful time that you notice when you have no boundaries. And just to give you a bit of an insight, If somebody couldn't do something in the gym, like a team member, I just did it. If a staff member ever needed something on Slack, I was just on Slack straight away. It didn't matter like what I was doing, if I was having my lunch, if I was with the kids, just anything at all. If somebody needed me on Slack, I got notified and answered them straight back. And then if that led into like a full on blown conversation back and forth for as long as the other person needed it, then that would be something I would do until they were satisfied that they got the solution that they needed. WhatsApp was the same. I was on WhatsApp. I was in lots of groups. I think I was in WhatsApp for work as well. And anytime that was pinged or notified or somebody needed me, like a family member or like somebody from work, I would see the notification, go into WhatsApp and respond straight away. And it was like this for many, many years. However, the before COVID, the 5 years and the lead up to COVID, when I was working so hard in the gym and the kids were so small, that was the most crazy boundaryless time I had. We did consultations in the gym, so people would come in and ask about it, and you'd sit down and you'd give them a half an hour of your time to talk through the different programs. And my team members were all trained up to do this, but mostly because they couldn't make those times, it always fell on me. So for example, I would work, like go into the office for 9, maybe leave at 6, then I'd drive all the way back to Renville and have my dinner. And if somebody needed a consultation done at 8 or 8:30, I would drive back. Or if the admin at the time was talking to a prospect on the phone and she said like all the times that I was free to meet her for a consultation, and the prospect couldn't meet at those times, she could only meet at like 9 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. I'd say, yeah, that's fine. So the admin knew that she could message me to tell me to come in, then I would come in and do that bloody consultation. And then there's so many other like ways in which I could see now looking back that I didn't have any boundaries. I would check my emails all day, every day. It was one of the things I checked when I first woke up in the morning time. I would check my emails in the bath. I was very known to go and have a bath, and after like working really crazy hours, and sit in the bath and check my emails and respond to people. I must admit, yes, respond to people. So like it's crazy to think that I was sitting there all day and work, come home, have a dinner, like light candles, make the room all lovely, make sure the bath temperature was just the perfect temperature, stick bubble bath in the bath, and then bang, check my emails. It's kind of a really funny picture in a sad way to see somebody sitting there in the bath after working all day with the candles on, checking their emails. And that was it. I did that for a long, long time. And boundaryless throughout the day just meant that it had a knock-on effect of me staying up really late. I didn't want to go to bed because I didn't want the next day to roll around, because the next day was so bloody unenjoyable. And just like a Groundhog Day, it was so annoying that I'd stay up really late, just wrecked then for the next day. I'd stay up late, I'd eat shit on the couch, because that was the only comfort, sincerely, back then. That temporary high that made me gain loads of weight, in that moment I didn't care about the weight gain or being unhealthy. I just wanted to soothe, to comfort, to numb, to escape the feelings I was feeling. Like Fiona Feely, the psychotherapist we had on the podcast recently, said that when you're doing that at nighttime, like what feeling are you escaping? I was trying to escape feeling stressed, overwhelmed, annoyed that this was it. I'm not even sure actually that I didn't realize at the time that life could be so much more. I kind of thought that's the way maybe life should be, just working and family and generally feeling just disconnected from myself and tired and pissed off and overwhelmed and unhealthy. I had no idea that life could be so fantastic. So I would stay up late on purpose and then go to bed so late, and then wake up the next day so wrecked. And because I was so wrecked, my food would be inconsistent. My nourishing myself wouldn't be great. I'd eat sugary stuff because I'd be so craving. Mostly at nighttime though. I didn't tend to eat shit during the day. I tend to kind of like try and starve myself during the day to make up for the night before. And around I went. I didn't take lunch breaks. So I was like a starving dinosaur at dinner time. Didn't take lunch breaks in work very much, I might say. Sometimes I did, but if I did, I'd be going and getting a tiny salad. Again, just kind of trying to lose weight in the moment. And anyway, I digress. But my point is that because I had no boundaries, everything became so tough. And because my dream was to be fit and healthy, I was never achieving my dream. Of course, I wasn't going to achieve my dream. I was so fit and healthy. I had no boundaries. Turned to wine at the weekends, just drank so much, couldn't wait for 5 o'clock Fridays to just crack open that bottle of Whispering Angel and buy shite in the shop. And I just spent so many years dabbling at getting fit and healthy. I didn't realize it was dabbling. I didn't realize how much getting fit and healthy, I didn't realize that it doesn't have to be that much of a struggle. But when you put up so many barriers to getting fit and healthy, like having no boundaries, drinking too much, eating shite, it's just so hard. But what most of us do is we don't spot the fact that we have no boundaries, and we just genuinely think it's hard. We think getting fit and healthy is hard. I am telling you now, that is never the problem. If you came to me and you had amazing boundaries, you had a really great goal of getting fit and healthy, you were really attached to your why, like you knew why you wanted to get fit and healthy so bad, and you had loads of boundaries, like you were really healthy in that area, it's going to be so much more simple for you. It's starting off trying to get fit and healthy, having no boundaries and not taking care of yourself and putting yourself last, whether that's after your work or after your kids or both, is always the problem. And yet we never seem to fix that problem. We just keep going with the way things are because maybe many of us don't know how to fix the problem. And also that it's easier to spot problems in other people and to say, well, look, all she has to do is that. It's much more difficult to actually see it in ourselves. It's much more difficult to just walk around thinking, whoa, I don't have any boundaries. However, this is really the key to unlocking, making getting fit and healthy so much more simple. And do you know what many people think that like what a boundary struggle is like you overcommit because you don't want to seem rude. So I hear that a lot, that people commit to things because they don't want to seem rude, or they do things because they don't want to seem rude. So that is a red flag that you have a boundary issue. Or maybe you take on everybody's problems, like you're known to yourself or people around you like you're the fixer. That's a red flag that you have boundary problems and emotional boundary problems. I'll talk to you about that again. You're making choices with your time and energy all of the time. You're just not aware of them. We're all making choices every moment of every day. And sometimes we think that we're not actively making a choice. We're always making a choice. You're always making a choice with your time and energy. You're just not aware that you're doing that. So today I'm going to make you super aware of that. And you may take one thing from this episode that's going to help you so much. I would love that. So to give you just a little simple thing about what boundaries are, like they're not about pushing people away. Boundaries are about keeping yourself centered and calm throughout the day. It's really, really important that you know that. Also that you're not responsible for others, people's feelings or reactions. That's a really, really hard one to understand, I find, if you're coming from a place where you have low self-worth and you have always been a fixer and you're a bit of a sponge. Like, are you one of those people that you can walk into a room and you could instantly feel tension? If you're that kind of person and whatever, you've always kind of reacted to that atmosphere and tried to make it better, tried to like lift up the room, it's difficult to understand that you're not responsible for people's feelings or reactions. However, you really, really aren't. You can be really kind and have really strong boundaries. You really can. And I'm going to share with you how I got through the kind of messy beginning of creating boundaries when you feel like you're not being kind and that you're being really horrible, which you really aren't. Many women think that they're bad with boundaries. They really do. They think they're bad with boundaries, that they're bad with time. But if you're one of those people that is constantly telling yourself you're bad with time or that you have no time, it really is a red flag that it's time for you to look at this whole boundary issue. I used to hate it when I would hear people say that everybody has the same amount of time in the day. It used to really wind me up because we're all different and it's very simple for us to think, but we have this. However, in most cases, most of us now run quite similar lives in the sense that a lot of us are working full time. So some people with no kids, you're really busy, you're working really hard. Other people are working really hard with their kids. Some people are doing both, or you have older parents that you're taking care of. There's loads of different ways that your time is taken. However, there's similar threads running through us all. And if you're telling yourself that time is your problem, I really encourage you to start saying that you have a boundary problem. If you're open to talking like that with yourself, your brain is so fantastic that it's going to start helping you fix these boundaries rather than just keep focused on the fact that you have no time. Tony Robbins said something one time in an event, and it has stuck with me since now. Would you believe I've after forgetting it? He said that you don't have if you tell your brain a good question, you're going to get a really great answer. So if you say to your brain, like, how can I get better boundaries? Your brain will all day and all night come up with solutions to you getting boundaries. If you say to your brain, why am I so bad at time? Your brain will look for reasons that you're bad at time and it won't help you. So think of your brain like a machine. You put in good questions, you'll get good solutions and answers. You put in bad questions, you're just going to get negativity back. Why am I so bad with time? Oh, because you're so disorganized. Like your negative inner critic will pop up, and thrivers, you'll know what I mean by this, but that radio analogy, like that radio station, the negative inner critic is going to pop up and answer that question for you. And you don't want that negative inner critic to be given a chance to tear you down. There's 3 types of boundaries. Generally, there's a time boundary, energy boundaries, and emotional boundaries. So let me give you a couple of examples of time boundaries. So you decide at 8 p.m. you're not going to check your WhatsApp or emails. That is a time boundary. A time boundary is saying you're going to start work at a certain time, you're going to finish work at a certain time. A time boundary is saying that you're going to have lunch between 1 and 2, and you're also going to take 2 coffee breaks when you're in work. That is a time boundary. Another time boundary example is that you protect your morning times because you want to do your thrive times or your workouts before you start the day and before you start giving to everybody else. They are really simple. They are time boundaries. You block off time on your calendar and you boundary up your day. This is boundaries at a really, really practical level. And this is what's going to help you achieve the goals you want to achieve. So if you want to get fit and healthy, you are going to need time boundaries. You are going to have to decide when you do your workouts, when you do your routines, when you meet people for coffee, when you go for coffee, when you have lunch, when you start work, when you finish work. And you need to write that down and get really specific and clear on it. When you're not specific and clear on it, you're just judging yourself by feelings. Oh, I felt like I had a good day at work today, or I felt like I took time off. However, it just never works. You have to be bloody specific with these things, because you have to be able to look at the end of the week and think to yourself, did I actually finish work when I said I was going to. No, okay, I broke my time boundaries this week. And when you start getting more specific and fact-based, it's easier to fix things because you've taken the emotion out of it. This is something I used to really struggle with. I used to get really emotional and defensive if somebody said to me, like if I was chatting to Joe and I was like, I really want to do this. Let's just take boundaries, for example. Oh, Joe, I'm implementing boundaries. I'm so proud of myself. And he used to really wind me up because he'd get specific, like, well, what did you do this week? Did you actually finish work at 5? And I'd be like, well, no, but like I'm trying to. And yeah, maybe 3 times I finish work at 6, but Joe, that's not the point. And he used to say to me like, is it not the point? I thought you just said that you had boundaries up. So it's really good to be specific and nail on the times that you're going to have, you're going to be working at having boundaries on. So I would definitely start there, like your morning routine, when you do your workouts, what time is that? That is a time boundary that you need to put up for your work, also for your lunch breaks, for your breaks, and anything else you need to boundary up around it. If you have a hobby, you need to put a big ring fence around that too. They all go in your calendar. I use Asana. I use like the the calendar part in Asana. It's a free software tool. It's fantastic. And I use that to organize my week, my day, my life. I just put it all up. I can see it clearly. Oh, I've got like pickleball then. So I can't do anything else other than pickleball at that time. And that's it. And that's what you start off with. You start off with time boundaries. Now, energy boundaries aren't something that are talked about very much, but protecting your capacity, protecting your energy is really, really important. For example, like if somebody's asking you to meet them or to have a meeting or something like that, like saying, let me get back to you on that is really, really important instead of saying yes immediately. Giving yourself time to decide if things are worth your energy. So with time boundaries, you know what you want to do, you know what you need to do. They're the black and white stuff. They go in your calendar. With energy boundaries, it's more about protecting your time when you're asked something and also protecting your energy. Like stopping long phone calls with somebody maybe that you find very negative or that you don't like chatting to, that maybe you have to chat to. But that person leaves you feeling wiped out. Think of energy boundaries as protecting your energy. Where are you devoting your time to? If somebody rings and they always leave you feeling drained, like asking yourself, like, do I absolutely need to answer that phone call? Do I need to be placing my energy here? Or if somebody in work goes for a coffee, asks you for a coffee, and you might find that person really draining, or it might just take up too much of your energy. You say, no, not for the moment. I can't. I'm really busy here. Thinking of little phrases that help you in the moment when you're feeling stuck is really important to protecting your energy. Like, I'm not so sure. Can I get back to you on that? I'm not so sure. Can I get back to you on that? Give me a few minutes. I'm just a bit busy here and I'll get back to you. Like forcing yourself to say that, it just gives you a little bit of a breathing space. And then you're able to just think to yourself, oh God, oh look, if I do that, that's going to leave me absolutely wrecked. I know every time I go here, I have huge knock-on effects in other areas of my life, so I'm not going to do it. So an emotional boundary then is protecting your inner peace. So being able to say no to people, or when somebody is upset or stressed out, that you don't absorb their stress, that you remind yourself that it's not your feeling to fix. This is huge. Emotional boundaries are really important for people pleasers. So let me give you an example. Like maybe you are the way I used to be in terms of, okay, well, this is the way I used to be. I used to have very, very few friends up until very recently. And because I didn't have any emotional boundaries, because I didn't love myself or value myself very much, anybody that I came into contact in my life, I would just hold space for them. I'd ask them all the questions. I would ask them all about themselves and not speak about myself at all. Totally my fault. But you leave the conversation feeling drained. You feel unseen, unheard, or like you have given everything and gotten nothing back. Do you have relationships in your life like that? So that's something to consider putting an emotional boundary around. And like people pleasing is always, it always stems, some of it stems from feeling responsible for other people feeling comfortable, liked, or supported. You're always thinking about that other person. You couldn't possibly say how you felt or talked about yourself because you're thinking too much about the other person. And when you do this, it is, first of all, really frustrating and really irritating. And it's like letting that negative inner critic out again and just telling you that you're worthless and that you don't deserve good company and you don't deserve to chat about yourself and have a laugh and have fun. An emotional boundary is when you give your energy and emotional presence on whether or you don't check and see whether it's reciprocated. It's just all one way. Or you mightn't feel like you're allowed to take up space, or that asking for support is too much. And it's always linked, or often linked, to low level self-worth or a belief that your role is to hold it all together. So time boundaries. Get your boundaries up with your time. They're the fact-based stuff. They're the most simple things to do. Then you've got the energy boundary. How can you protect your energy? How can you protect your energy? And then the last one is, how can you protect your inner peace, your emotional boundary? So the question is, how are you going to start doing all this? How are you going to start doing all this? First off, with the emotional boundaries, you're not here to be everyone's emotional support system. You're not here to be the fixer. You're not here to be the sponge. And you can carry on the way you're carrying, or you can start to get serious and really start to decide that you want to get the absolute most out of life and be that fun, happy, fit and healthy person that is bursting inside of you. On the emotional boundary, like, conversations are meant to be mutual with loved ones. They are meant to be fucking mutual. And I know this so well because I've spent up until a couple of years ago with conversations that haven't been mutual, and the fucking joy I get now from conversations being mutual, the natural relaxed chats I now am obsessed with because it's just so fun and I feel like I'm making up for lost time. It's okay to get emotional nourishment back. It's okay to chat about yourself and to have fun and be yourself. So in terms of the emotional boundaries, I just want to stick with this for a minute. I just want to give you a few tips. Notice when you're over functioning in conversation. So just notice if you're sitting there stressed out, just chatting to the person all about themselves, and you're just feeling stressed out and you're over functioning. Notice that. Practice sitting in silence instead of filling the space. So if you're a silent space filler, practice sitting in that silence. Give it a go. Give it a practice. It's fucked up. It feels weird. I've been through it. You can go through it. It's an absolute game changer. And ask yourself after each interaction when you've been out with a buddy, do you feel seen and heard too? And if the answer is you don't, it's boundaries. Emotional boundaries. You start here. You fix the right problem. You don't move on and fix a different problem. Like, oh, okay, well, I need to do this instead of that. No, you need to fix the boundary problem. You need to sort this out. One thing that happens when we start to add in boundaries is that we're worried that we're going to have a lot of resistance back. Like, what I hear a lot is that people say they don't want to seem rude, or what if they get annoyed? Understand and know that boundaries are very uncomfortable at first, and that's really, really normal, and it's only because you're not used to it, and that discomfort is part of reclaiming your calm. I had to start from absolute zero when I was setting boundaries. I was so uncomfortable doing it. I was such a people pleaser. I was so stressed out. I had so many boundaries to set. I had so many time boundaries, so many energy boundaries, and so many emotional boundaries to work through. And I felt like I offended a lot of people. However, all the important people that I love so much, sincerely, I have such a more fantastic relationship with all of them, because I have set up boundaries, and know that it's really normal to feel really uncomfortable at the start. However, you have to start practicing it, and with everything, it's always uncomfortable at the start. I want you to imagine like waking up without feeling dread. Your day isn't overloaded. Your day is filled with fun. Like pick your favorite day. Like what's your favorite day in the week now? Is it a Friday maybe or a Saturday? Imagine every day feeling like that. I'm being serious. I know we all have maybe more responsibilities on a Monday, or there's different things that are a little bit more tough. I do understand. I really do. However, imagine your days feeling more like Fridays every day, that you didn't matter too much whether it was a weekday or a weekend. That's all possible with boundaries. Imagine saying yes only to things that matter, only things that are really important to you, and you having the courage and the resilience to be able to say no. I remember when I first started saying no to people, it got a little bit addictive. So much so that if somebody asked me something on a text, something I would never do that I just noticed that I was doing is I'd straight away write no, comma, and then I'd tell them why. Whereas I noticed when I had no boundaries, if I like couldn't do something, I'd be like, well, today isn't working out for me, da 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 da. And I just got really comfortable now with saying no, that doesn't work. It's so cool. Like no is a fantastic word because it's so black and white. It's just a no. And when people get to know you and the people that love you, that you love back, they know the context of what that no means. Imagine feeling more calm and more present with your family and so fulfilled with hobbies, and work was a part of your life. Just a part. You know, I love work so much. I love working. I love working. I love applying myself. I love being productive. I love getting the head down and really working at making something as good as I can. But the trap is that you're all work. That's the trap, that you spend your best years working away, and you look back and you go, shit. What about my hobbies? What about the connections that I dropped? What about my friendships and family? What about all those places I didn't get to see? What about all those goals I only really dabbled in? I overcommitted to work. When you're thinking about all the areas in your life, it can be really helpful to think of a tire or a wheel or a circle, and there's different slices or pieces of that tire that are dedicated to different parts of your life. So say you've got like your health, your career, your finances, your connections, your hobbies. And if you were to take like a cake slice out of one of those tires, the wheel wouldn't turn properly. And this is really true for you with your life and nurturing all the different elements of yourself. If you're only nurturing one or two, like finances, career and family, let's say, then you don't get to explore hobbies and your goals and your health and your fitness. And the tire isn't going to run properly. You're not going to be running at your happiest, at your max potential. So it's a good idea to think about this. Yes, work is fantastic and work is so fulfilling. But there does come a time where you have to really question, what's it all for? What's it all for? And what about all the other parts in your life that can bring you so much joy? I know what it's like to be feeling so stuck that you can't even imagine you enjoying yourself doing a hobby. That like if you're all work and family now, or just all work now, you're like, well, I can't even see how much of an upgrade my life could be if I got a hobby or I met friends more often. Well, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know how fulfilling life could be. I didn't know I could be a well-rounded person that had hobbies. You don't know what you don't know. And then you set boundaries, you go after it, and you realize that life is bloody fantastic. I encourage you this week to choose one boundary to practice. Look at your life. Look at all the areas in your life and look at all the places that you don't have boundaries, and start writing them out one by one and start practicing one boundary every week. Every week, until you have a boundaried up life. Until you feel happy and fulfilled, until you are achieving your goals, you've got time to work out, your mornings are your own, you've got hobbies, you've got amazing friendships, and you're also a mofo in work. I hope you found this episode helpful today. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, I would love for you to share it with a friend, and get in touch with me and let me know what you thought. You can email me at jessica@jessicacooke.ie or find me on Instagram at jessicacooke. I have a free challenge for you if you want to get kick-started. It's called jessicacooke.ie/challenge. It's a 5-day challenge. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. All my love.